Good evening, Iowa Democrats. It's great to come together for our annual Hall of Fame celebration. For all of us who believe in a progressive, inclusive Iowa, the election of Tom Vilsack and Sally Peterson in 1998 was an historic turning point. The first Democratic governor in 30 years, Tom fought to restore Iowa's public schools as the best in the nation, expanded early childhood programs, extended health insurance to 90% of Iowa's children, and transformed Iowa into a powerhouse of clean, renewable energy. And speaking of renewable energy, we also honor Christy Vilsack, a tireless advocate for family literacy, for public libraries, and giving all Iowans access to the internet. Iowa children and families can always count on Christy. And tonight we also honor former Lieutenant Governor Sally Peterson. I'm especially grateful for her passionate advocacy on behalf of people with disabilities, fighting for accessible housing options, as well as fuller inclusion in our communities and workplaces. In addition, we are all proud of Sally for leading the successful fight to require insurance coverage for mental health. You know, Hall of Fame ceremonies usually honor past achievements. But tonight we also honor Tom Vilsack for his present and future service as Secretary of Agriculture. Tom has emerged as one of the real stars of President Obama's cabinet. He's brought renewed purpose to USDA, making it a major player in promoting renewable energy, conservation, nutrition, and rural economic development. Tom is moving American agriculture in a new and progressive direction. And he's making good on the President's promise of change we can believe in. So thank you, Tom and Christy and Sally, for making us proud to be Iowans and proud to be Democrats. And now, to honor our newest Hall of Famers, the Iowa Democratic Party has produced this video salute.
Democracy is best when people work at the grassroots, when they talk neighbor to neighbor, friend to friend, community to community. We must build a new Iowa that encourages entrepreneurship from within and development from afar. We must build a new Iowa that guarantees the best education for all, from preschool to college and beyond.
What made you think that you wanted to run for governor?
Well, actually, it's about you folks. You know, I've got two sons, and I'm really proud of my two sons, and they've had an opportunity to grow up and really are going to amount to something, and I wanted to make sure that everybody's children had the same chance my kids had.
We must build a new Iowa that has the resources and the will to take care of the needy and the ill.
The first step in the process is to make sure that kids are insured.
I first became aware of Tom Vilsack when he was mayor of Mount Pleasant. When it came time to start getting lined up for the 1998 gubernatorial race, and we were looking at the candidates, I was down here at the Capitol and I walked up to him and introduced myself, and I said, I'd like to get together with you and visit about your interest in running for governor.
He was an underdog. Nobody gave him much of a chance to be elected governor. I mean, you know, Tom Vilsack, who is he?
I'm Tom Vilsack, and I fought in the Iowa Senate to protect the rights of HMO patients to the care they need and to a choice of doctors.
But I think those of us who really supported him early really saw that he was someone who really believed in what he stood for and would fight.
What impressed me is when he was first running for governor, he came up to my little lodge and we discussed agriculture and rural issues.
In addition to just feeding it to livestock, there are ways that you can take corn and soybeans and you can convert it into industrial products, which really creates a market for those commodities.
Governor Vilsack came to my home and asked me if I would consider supporting him, just by laying out a plan that he thought would be fair and equitable to everybody, and talking to me about economic development and probably changing the face of employment in the state so that we could have more Latinos employed.
I can remember standing on the floor of the Democratic Convention in 1998, and word leaked down that Sally Peterson was going to be the running mate. And the first question we all asked was, who is Sally Peterson? The good news is, and the answer is, she's terrific. She's both classy, but she's also compassionate.
We should be thinking about the opportunities that America offers for people from other countries. That's part of our heritage too, and that's part of Iowa's heritage.
The Register poll had Lightfoot ahead of Vilsack by 20 percentage points in September.
Well, you must be very pleased with these new numbers.
Well, we are. We've been saying all along that we are getting momentum, and we have the momentum in this race, and those numbers prove it.
I remember talking to one of my friends, and she was working hard for a candidate, and she said, "So how's it going?" And I said, Tom Vilsack's going to win this election. I really believe that. Nobody else thinks he's going to do it. At least the pundits don't.
Somewhere in this crowded room, there's a fellow by the name of Harry Bookie, and Harry and I were talking about this race not too long ago, and he says, you know, you're pretty tough on your supporters. You're never heading till the last day.
He said, watch the Iowa race, and if Tom Vilsack wins this, there's still hope for this country, that people really are going to elect people that can make a difference in individual lives.
How did he do it? How did this Democrat break the Republican lock on the Iowa State House?
I think Jim was lulled into a false sense of security by the polls.
You took a line from Winston Churchill, never give up. Never give up. Why that line?
And I wanted to make sure that Iowans, particularly Iowa Democrats who had not won in 30 years, would not be discouraged by the polls. And I wanted to encourage them not to give up, because I was convinced that when our message punched through, that we would get the moderate vote, that we would keep our base, and we would win.
That was really a glowing moment, we'll say, because I had been voting since I was 18, and since I've lived here since I was 6 years old, all I've seen was Republican parties.
And it was just so nice not to lose.
Governor Vilsack has always had a broad-based agenda that he wants to push forward and pursue.
Even in tough times, people know that there's somebody in this office that's going to fight for what is important.
And he started right in with that, because he laid it out in the campaign. When you go out and say those things, then that establishes a mandate for governing.
And we want to make sure that the classes are small enough so that she learns how to read well. You want to learn how to read, Jesse?
The biggest thing that people see out there is a kind of a can-do and will-do attitude. That you recognize what the problems are, that you will sit down creatively outside of the box. You sit down and you actually create what works for people in Iowa.
He understood again, the future of Iowa is tied to much of rural America. And whatever happens or whatever is done or not done in regard to rural America and our food production system will affect every person in every other state. The only person that's not affected by this is the person that doesn't eat. And I don't think there's very many of those people around.